Well, hello there. My name is Dave Bila. I want to welcome you to this new edition of News and Views broadcast by Access LaPorte County on Public Access TV Channel 99. We are a weekly public opinion program addressing local, state, and national topics and issues of interest to the Michigan City and surrounding areas. Opinions are the views and the responsibilities of those making the comments and do not necessarily reflect or represent the views of this program or its co-producers. We will adhere to broadcast rules, but absolutely no one's First Amendment rights of freedom of speech or freedom of the press will be either muzzled nor denied. Any unauthorized use of the accounts, descriptions, and the events of this program without the express written consent of Larry Curley or Schmo is strictly prohibited. We hope you enjoy the program, the participants, and the topic. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to read something to you. This is words out of my mouth. October 23rd, 1973.
And his wife has censored him, so it's free for you to listen to. There will not be a problem.
I was responding to a Michigan City News Dispatch's article. They had various questions about candidates, and this is one of the questions. This was one of the questions that the News Dispatch answered. What do you think are the city's most urgent problems? Or what specific solution would you propose for these problems? My solution is to realize that the problems is for everyone to realize the unlimited growth potential that the city, Michigan City, possesses. We have the lakefront, we have the forthcoming Mount Baldy area, we have the traffic influx of I-94, the proposed Dunes National Lakeshore entrance in Michigan City will bring even more traffic to the area. Undeveloped land is useless land. People taking an interest in the establishment of a better commercial recreational Michigan City and the involvement of the banking community would create business, business would create jobs, jobs would create tax revenue, and so on down the line. That was my mindset in 1979, and it hasn't changed here in 2025. I was a staunch supporter of economic development, and I worked with individuals such as Stan Przybylski, Norm Ramian, Ed Stachowiak, Evelyn Baker, Al Whitlow, Burr Bergwald, Bob Beeler, Art Payne, and me, Dave Beeler, are the only two people that are left from the 79-80 council people. We had a mindset of economic growth in the city of Michigan City. Now again, that's 1980, 1990, 2000, 2010, 2020. Okay, 43, 44 years, finally Michigan City is evolving into something that we laid the groundwork for by combining municipal airport with Joe Phillips Airport, south of Highway 20, open up that whole area. It didn't need a TIF district to open itself up.
What? Huh? I thought we had, private people didn't build that by themselves?
Meyer built, Meyer was...
How's that possible? Okay.
Well, you're twisting up my mindset, but the fact of the matter is, south of, there was a Kmart Plaza out there, and a few little...
Without public money, that just worked?
Without public money, yes.
It's amazing.
Well, I shop at Meyer, okay? And what the people tell me at Meyer is they got a water problem out there because they're sitting on a slab, and their slab appears to be floating every once in a while. And that specific area was still constructed by Meyer. It was constructed with private money, and it's an economic boom for the community. Meyer did not have to request a substantial amount of money from the Redevelopment Commission to move into that area and develop it. Well, we have a situation in that area. There's a car wash by the Chrysler dealership that wants to be extended to Meyer Drive. Mm-hmm. And the owner of that property was granted by the Redevelopment Commission $2 million. He owns 15.5 acres of that land on that just south of where they want to propose the new road. And the Redevelopment Commission, out of its ultimate wisdom, granted this individual $2 million to build this road to Meyer Drive that runs through his property.
Well, I thought this was south of the theater.
No, it's not. No, it's
and the extension of Lowe's to there.
No, it's between. It's the extension from Highway 20. It
That's another road that goes to.
It goes so far.
Yep.
But between, after it ends so far to Meyer Drive.
I would venture to say no one's driven, if you probably don't even know what road we're talking about, because it's a dead end and no one's ever driven it, other than some cars that are stored there that are towed.
But the fact of the matter is, Redevelopment Commission granted $2 million. Well, I've got reports here from the Gateway for 2023 and 2024 showing how much revenue the Redevelopment Commission is taking in, mandated by their weekly, their yearly TIF reporting, that they did not start making these reports until I brought this issue up in 2022 to one of their, it wasn't Baker Tilly, but it was somebody within the money end of it. And since 2022, lo and behold, they saw the light and they decided to show the report. Well, this is the report says. This is what it says. In 2023, the expenses of the Redevelopment Commission was $8,745,000. They took in $8,164,000. There was a deficit of a little over $500,000 that they spent more than they took in. That was 2023. In 2024, their income was $8,315,988. And according to the report, now this could be a typographical error. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. But according to the report, they had an expenditure of $20,528,761, which is in effect a $12.2 million deficit spending for 2024. The report for 2025 will be coming up shortly after the 11th. I'm just saying that something is wrong with the reporting that they make to Gateway. Something is wrong with them not making a report from the conception of the TIF district up until 2022. Something is wrong with proposing a $2 million grant, tax-free, no repayment at all, to this owner on this property south of Highway 20. Something is wrong with this $500,000 grant that was sent to 711 Franklin Street to rehab a building that is still, there are signs on the side of the building for sale. I'm just saying priorities, in my mind, need to be adjusted. If these reports are correct, the Redevelopment Commission is taking advantage of deficit spending. They're spending more than what they're taking in because, as I told you, they're taking in roughly about $8.5 million a year. What my suggestion to the viewing audience is, if you know of someone who happens to be on the city council or a friend of a member of the city council, would you approach them and consider providing my name to them as a member of the Redevelopment Commission, because the city council has 2 appointments. And I would like to be one of those 2 individuals to bring these issues to light. Expenditures are expenditures, but you don't want to develop the community, in my mind, you don't want to develop the city of Michigan City utilizing deficit spending. It's basically spot zoning. They're just picking areas of Michigan City where they are sold the best deal. And in my mind, they don't take into account whether the individuals who own that property have any financial skin value in what they own. Reassessment has to be made somehow. The intent of the Redevelopment Commission was to take a property that had succeeded in growth and improve it. This particular 15 acres of south of town hasn't succeeded in growth because it never had a chance to grow. Okay, so why would you point $2 million into a parcel of land that hasn't had a chance to grow to say that it needed Redevelopment Commission money? Priorities, if you listen to the Redevelopment Commission's meeting, Baker and Tilly came up and suggested to the Redevelopment Commission that they establish a budget based on the TIF reporting. They have to provide a budget, and they have to provide expenditures where they're spending their money according to Indiana Code 36-7-14-13. They haven't been doing it for the last 14 or 15 years until 2022 when I spoke up. I'm just saying priorities need to be reestablished for the betterment of the community. I laid out in 1979 how I wanted to pursue economic development. And my intent wasn't to utilize deficit spending to make this happen. Gentlemen, I rest my case. People, approach the city council and tell them you would like to see me appointed to the redevelopment commission. I would seriously thank you.
This project at, well, I believe it's extension of the road behind Myers to Lowe's is 30 acres. And in 2016, they paid $155,000 for it, per beacon. That's why I was looking on my phone. I'm messing on my phone on social media. That's looking up information. This XL investment bought this property, 30 acres, for $155,000.
That's the one. That's the one, yeah.
And that's 5,000 acre, which is cheap, cheap, cheap. Now, my memory serves correct. The area behind Menards, over by Cleveland, if you look, it's kind of got lots of wetland weeds and native grasses. Menards planted that purposely, and they put an easement on that to make that wetland permanent. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm sure they won't encroach on it. But I think it's funny that this is, they call it a tailwind investment. So who's getting the tailwind here?
Yeah.
And it's game plan investment. So what's the game plan?
Yeah.
So they're building a private company, a $2 million road. My developers, and I believe every developer that companies I work with, they don't ask for money. If the project works financially, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But Michigan City is going to give these people $2 million for the road and sewer and water, and they say it's going to be $30 million in infrastructure and $11 million a year. Well, how long does it take to recoup $2 million for what, 5% of $30 million and 5% of $11 million in revenue? It's going to take many years on something that I keep saying over and over again. Something that has not the best risk of return.
And commenting on just what Tony said, Kevin McGuire, in July 14th, made a request to the Redevelopment Commission for metal detectors and a few other electronics that combine all of the buses together and safety within the Michigan City area schools for the tune of $1 million a year. The Redevelopment Commission turned him down. What is more important, the education of our youth and a safe environment that they can learn through a safe environment within the schools, or spending $2 million on a vacant piece of land?
What's a better return on investment?
That's what I'm trying to say. Hey, this guy reads he can say what
The students.
the student.
Education is always the best return.
And this is, Anna, you go back last year in 2024 when they appropriated $500,000 for 711 Franklin Street. Yeah, okay, that's $2.5 million for return on investment will be for the length of the TIF district, which is how long?
And what's the return on investment on somebody's education? A lifetime.
Inevitable.
A lifetime.
Inevitable. I'm just saying priority.
There's a hedge on this one, Tom. Yes, it is lifetime, as long as you continue your education.
As long as they stay here.
Well, as long as you continue your education. We're going to talk about that in a little bit, because I have many educational possibilities, but you have to stay up to date with the technologies. Tony is right if he's talking about the 1920s, 1930s. You got hired in the steel mills, you got hired by Pullman for life. You were there. That's not true anymore. Technology is changing so fast that you have to stay up to date with that technology, or you're just going to be out.
And good companies will pay you employees to stay up to date,
Yes.
to keep them.
Or they will certainly pay for their education
Yes.
to do that.
Who stays, who keeps the youth of Michigan City, who keeps them upgraded to technology, if not the schools? And where are your priorities going to? A vacant piece of land or a vacant building?
It's over and over again. I keep going on. When we got the lottery, they promised all this money for education. We would have the highest paid teachers in the world, and we would have the best education, and that didn't happen. Then we got the casino, again, the highest paid teachers in the world, the best education. That didn't happen. But I think it's always the right move. If we paid our teachers, and granted, we're going to have to make our teachers produce and be the best teachers and hire the best teachers.
Yeah.
But if you paid a teacher instead of 30 or 40 grand, if the teachers' rates in Michigan City were 70,000, 80,000, 90,000, you would by far get the best teachers. And I know this is true because, and Bob can help me here, he might know this too. In West Lafayette, there's West Lafayette and there's Lafayette. In West Lafayette,
He's talking about Purdue.
Purdue University, they had the highest caliber teachers in their grade schools, their high schools, because of Purdue being there. And they had very highly paid teachers
Yes.
in the grade schools and the high schools. And they might not have been the biggest sports teams, but they were by far the highest caliber students you could imagine. And that's what I think every town in Indiana needs to shoot for.
Well, in terms of the sports teams, Tony forgot that the basketball team at Purdue is rated #1 in the nation.
No, I'm talking high school and grade school. Their high school team is pretty good, but if you look at high school, they're not like Hammond or Maryville. You know, they were scholastically brilliant kids
Yeah.
because the professors had their kids in West Lafayette.
But you can also just go over to Valparaiso, Indiana,
Valparaiso.
and you can see
Yeah.
the effect that Valparaiso
Yeah.
University has had on their school system, a very positive
Yeah.
effect. But because this is the Christmas holidays, I have not been imbibing, but I have a lot more cheer, I think, than my two counterparts over here. Because having lived through the horror stories of Michigan City in the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s, I am well aware of the problems that we had. Michigan City has come so far from that 1970, 1980 situation that all of us can feel good about. One of the big problems we have had as a result of what happened in the 70s and the 80s is a loss of population. When I came on the city council we ran in 71 and went on in 72, we had approximately 42 to 45,000 people here, not counting the prison. Right now, not counting the prison, we're probably somewhere between 28,500 and 30,000. Now, one of the big differences in terms of why we do not have the kinds of people here that it would be nice to have is if you look in one of the business management magazines, they did a little study of Lowell, Indiana. Lowell, Indiana in 1980 had a population of about 5,500. In 2025, they've doubled that population. They're around 11,000 plus. The reason they have doubled that, just like Granger, Indiana, around South Bend that we talked about, the estimated median income for a family in Lowell, Indiana, $83,125. Here in Michigan City and LaPorte County, it runs somewhere around $49,000 to $50,000. We have got to get the salaries up. Bringing in this data center will help. They may only hire 50 or 100 people to start out, but that's to run the data center. But those will be high-paying people. Somehow we've got to get them interested in living here in Michigan City or the surrounding area. Same goes true with the doctors. We have great doctors. We have great dentists in Michigan City, well-trained, but many of them don't live here. They live in Valpo. They live in places like that because they think, and probably it's true, that in the public school system they can get a better education. One of the things that we have is Marquette High School. The other thing we have is La Lumiere. Marquette has a very good situation. La Lumiere is outstanding. And we have had people move from all sorts of places because they didn't want their kids staying at a boarding school in the Michigan City, LaPorte, and places like that, just so they can send their kids to La Lumiere. These schools are a real possibility. There's an article also in that Business Management magazine about the various colleges and universities, and I want to talk about that if I get the opportunity. But I'd like to start out with this. It looks like this will be when they turn on the lights in Washington Park. If you've gone down north on Franklin Street in Michigan City, you know the lights are up. It looks beautiful. So take a trip up from 11th Street, down Franklin Street into Washington Park with the lights on. It's a fantastic Christmas display. I unfortunately wasn't here in 1966, but I am told by a couple of my friends that Franklin Street hasn't looked this good since 1966. Now, what was the big deal in 1966? We won the state basketball championship. So obviously they decorated the city for that. I didn't get to see it because I was in Vietnam, but I'm told that it was really nice. I've got a couple of friends who are telling me that this is the best it's looked since then. We lost all sorts of businesses, starting with Sears Roebuck, Montgomery Ward, J.C. Penney, Grant's, Karstens, Hurst's. I can name off 50 of them probably if I thought about it. You're starting to get those businesses back, especially the restaurants. If you want something nice to eat, and not too expensive of a price, and I'm told it's about half price in downtown Chicago for the same steak, and somewhat even better than that if you get a drink. I haven't compared drink prices since my wife and I don't drink, but it's there. And Michigan City is taking advantage of it. The next thing we have to take advantage of is technology. The data center will be a start, but we also have to start looking at how can we bring in the technology that works behind the scenes in terms of the casinos. The Michigan City Casino, the New Buffalo Casino, the South Bend casinos. Can we bring in the types of technology that they're going to need in order to run their slot machines in the other games that they play? This is something that we have to look at. Hopefully, our Economic Development Commission has thought about this and has some ideas as to how we go about doing it, because that's exactly what they do in Las Vegas, Reno, and places like that. Now, the next thing I'd like to talk about is Indiana University. Tomorrow night at 7 o'clock our time, 8 o'clock in Indianapolis time, the Indiana University's football team, ranked number 2 in the country and number 2 in the Big Ten, will be playing Ohio State, ranked number 1 in the country and ranked number 1 in the Big Ten. Let me start out by saying that it's not the Big Ten that I knew and a lot of other people knew.
Not that I knew.
At one time when I was growing up, it was only the Big Nine, because the University of Chicago dropped out of the Big Ten. Then, about 1951 or 52, they added Michigan State, and they were then the Big Ten again until a couple of years ago, when in fact they added 8 different universities. 4 of them on the West Coast, 3 of them on the East Coast, and 1 of them actually in the Midwest, Nebraska. So as a result of that, it's really 18 teams, but we call it the Big Ten Championship. It will be played in Lucas Oil Stadium. For those of you that, it's just a minor amount, would like to go see the game, I understand that the tickets right now are going for $663 per
Those
seat.
are the cheapest tickets.
Yeah, well, yeah.
The cheapest tickets.
Yeah. So it's going to be quite a situation. If Indiana could pull off an upset, that would be fantastic. But what they have done so far in terms of their football team and their recruiting is something that I don't think most people could have imagined 5 years ago. We were somewhat known as a basketball school, but we didn't even do that very well once Bob Knight left. So as a result of this, Indiana has come a long way. Another thing I'd like to mention, for those of you that watch a movie called The Christmas Story. The Christmas Story was written by an individual from Hammond, Indiana. It basically talks about the situation in northwest Indiana in terms of the weather and the other thing that the kids did. And when that third grader talks about, my mother says I'm going to shoot my eye out if I get a BB gun, every boy in the 3rd grade in Michigan City had the same problem. Their mothers would not let them get BB guns, mine included. So what we got instead was an electric train. And many of us still have at least the engine and a couple of other parts of that electric train left over, and we get them out and display them for Christmas. It's part of our Christmas celebration. So as you get into the Christmas time, take advantage of the lights downtown. Let your kids go see the lights. These are free. We don't charge for that. And most kids get a lot of excitement out of it and enjoy it very much. And I think the adults do also. I'm going to pass over to somebody else at this point, but I want to make the argument that in Michigan City, during the Christmas season, with everything we've got going on, it's a great pleasure to live here. And as I tell some of my friends, I won the lottery twice. Number one, I was born and raised in the United States. And if you just think of the people that were not, I don't care where you live in the USA. If you were born and raised here, you won the lottery. And then the second time when I married my wife. Fantastic. So for me, it's generally always something fun that I enjoy because I got to win the lottery twice. Your guys are up. Have at it.
Tickets are $500 minimum and $700 for a good seat. So I get you're going, right?
No, I just got the thing off StubHub.
You need to go.
I'm going to see it on TV.
No, you need
By
to
the
go.
way, it's on TV tomorrow night.
That's heresy that you don't go. You're an IU guy.
Yeah, it's 7 p.m.
You
Yeah,
drive
our time,
down
7
there.
p.m. our time.
Once in a lifetime here.
I'm
Okay.
too old to fight that
Oh,
crowd.
you go.
Hey, I should, well, I won't. I'll tell you guys the story after this is over. I was an usher at the football games for IU for 4 years.
Huh.
My last year, the last game, I have no recollection of what happened in that game, who won it. I think I could guess, but I still don't know, and I've never looked it up. Because with about 3 minutes to go, in my section, a big fight broke out. And so, as a result of that, me, and I've hollered all these ushers, we're in there trying to separate.
melee.
They sent the police up there. Oh my gosh, it was a horror story. So that is my last memory of Indiana football. Go ahead.
You could. There's no amount of money that I don't think you should. No maximum amount you should spend on education. It pays returns over and over. If we had teachers that were earning $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 intro, we would get the best teachers to come here. And when those teachers come, they bring their families. And look at. I'm not just taking Purdue, IU, Ball State, Rose-Hulman. Look at any community, Valpo. Look at any community that has these colleges. They have the best teachers, the brightest students, and they have the most ability. If you go around Purdue, go outside of campus and look at all the technology that Purdue has amassed in their business parks around West Lafayette and Lafayette, you would be amazed. And it all starts with their investment, and it wasn't Lafayette or West Lafayette's investment, it was Purdue's investment, being a university there, the best university in the world. And that is going for Ball State, Rose-Hulman, IU, Valpo, Notre Dame. Pick them. Pick any university town. You will see what resilience gives you when you pay money for education.
Well, but Tony, don't forget we've got Purdue Northwest, and it's a county
Could be.
school. But
they took everyone out, pretty much a lot of people out of Westville, and I think we bore the brunt of it. I teach at Hammond, and I think Westville is a far better campus.
Oh, okay. Well,
If we could grow Westville and Michigan City and LaPorte would grow towards it, and we would
that's
have
what I
one
was.
heck of a
That's what I was referring to.
we would have one heck of a triangulation right here, and that's why Purdue, Northwest, and Westville would be a fantastic spot to anchor education.
Yeah, but it's a real positive for everybody around here, including Michigan City.
Oh yeah, people would drive from South Bend and Hammond to go to Purdue, Westville.
And they have degrees in areas that people are looking for in this day and age. Engineering and medical.
Yep.
And oh my gosh, in medical, it's so specialized I'll tell one more story. It's so specialized that about 5 months ago, I had a granddaughter who has a specific type of asthma. She had an asthma attack. Fortunately, her mother recognized that it was a big problem. She got her to the emergency room. We found out that there was only one doctor in the state of Indiana that could treat this particular type of asthma. It's a specialized situation. Put her on a helicopter, take her to Indianapolis, and they fixed her. She goes down once a month for treatments at the Indiana University Medical School in Indianapolis. The medical situations in this country are so vastly superior to what Tony and Dave and I grew up in. But anyway, take advantage of it, but be part of it. Go ahead, guys.
I just have to go back to Indiana Code 36-725-7, which this one line summarizes pertaining to after making findings set forth in subsection C, 2 or more commissioners, in reference to 2 or more redevelopment commission members, acting jointly make contact with an eligible entity to provide educational programs, work training programs, work retention programs, marketing and advertising of land located in the allocated area, or any other programs designed to prepare individuals to participate in a global economy. This is state law in regards to the direction that the Redevelopment Commission must take with a portion of its revenue. Right now, it is doing absolutely nothing.
Well, another thing I'm going to add to that is you actually have to get these kids to class. So many of them are just absent on a consistent basis that there's no way they can do the kinds of learning they need. We need Saturday classes for those that are way behind, and we need summer classes for those that are way behind. But if I've seen now where they're starting to talk about it, maybe we have to pay them, and maybe we have to pay their parents to get them to sit in a classroom. I would not do it for the regular school system, but for Saturday classes and for summer school, maybe $5 per class for the parent, $5 per class for the student. You get there 4 days a week. That's $20 for each of you. Maybe that's a start. I don't know. I'll listen to Tony on that one.
Well, I always get a good article somehow shows up on my web somewhere, and this is Indiana Business Journal, that right now the state is talking about casinos, and Michigan City needs to be very concerned, especially the Redevelopment Commission, because Fort Wayne wants a casino. Fort Wayne understands, and this is Allen County out northeast of Indiana, they don't have a casino. Fort Wayne understands, in the article from Indiana Business Journal, says that some Indian tribe has purchased a bunch of acreage to do their own casino, which means they will do a casino with an Indian license, and none of that revenue will go to the state of Indiana. But Fort Wayne wants a casino, and they're either going to take their casino and transfer it from southeast Indiana, which I believe is like Switzerland County or something, and move it up to Fort Wayne. Well, as soon as that Pandora's box gets open, we know what happens. As soon as you open up that box that Fort Wayne wants a casino, they are talking about another license, because if southeast Indiana loses their casino, that revenue loss could be crippling. Now maybe they'll get a data center or something that's better, but if they get a casino, and if they have another license to the state of Indiana, some of the casino association says, well, you're pretty much at or beyond saturation point, and with all the casinos you have up here, you can't just keep doing the same thing, the same slot machines, the same games, and expect to get more money. Revenue, the mayor has said it, revenue is decreasingly rapidly out of our casino. The state knew it when they put Hard Rock in, because they made Hard Rock give us money and Hammond money for the reduction in revenue we're going to get because they're land-based, we're not. Also, Indianapolis, whenever you open up Pandora's box for a casino or something like that, Indianapolis jumps in because they have a casino out of town to the southeast. They want that casino brought into town, downtown. And I would venture to say, when this is all said and done, when this all shakes out, that I would be willing to bet, as a casino, that Allen County or Northwest Indiana gets an extra license. They leave Switzerland or the Southeast alone. I would bet they use their leverage, because the representatives will team up and they'll say, I'll vote for you in Fort Wayne if you help me out in Southeast County, and I'll vote for you if you help me out the casino in downtown Indianapolis, and I will venture to say also Michigan City, Hammond, and Hard Rock and Gary will get involved. I think Michigan City and Hammond will be the premier pump, and if we're already not doing it, we better be doing it. If you're going to do this casino, we want you to change the law so we can have a land-based casino. We don't want to take care of the boat anymore. We want more revenue. We want unique opportunities at our casino, not just on the boat. So get ready. This is the newest article, just came out, Indiana Business Journal. You can look it up. It's probably all over the internet by now. That there is going to be a sea change in revenue and gambling in Indiana. I think you're just, at this point, and Bob will help me here, I think our revenues are depleting. We're saturated. We have many, many casinos, and we're offering the same slot machines, the same betting, the same card games, the same blackjack, the same roulette. You know, there's nothing unique. If you go to Vegas, they have lots of unique specialty things, and that's what makes them. So, Bob, I leave it up to you to say.
Well, two things. First of all, I'm going to pitch. If you think about the gold rush in 1849, who really made the money out of the gold rush? A few miners that found gold. the people that sold shovels, the people that sold picks, the
Donkeys.
people that sold jeans like Levi's. We want that business. Only that business today is not picks and shovels, it's technology. And what we need to go after is the technology that supports these casinos. Now, one of the ways they can differentiate themselves is by bringing in all kinds of talent from Hollywood and from other places, singers and things like that. And when the Blue Chip did, they had large audiences for these people, Wayne Newton and a couple of others I remember particularly. But they're going to have to do that, but they're also going to have to update excuse me, their technology, just like they do on these games. They keep coming out with different games, and how do you play them? They're going to have to do the same thing with their slot machines.
Well, they're going to have to advance into a whole different realm, and you could look at this, and lots of gambling companies are doing this. They're shifting from what we consider normal gambling, sports, card games, roulette, whatever, dice, to something that we have, gambling, that AI has allowed us to start betting on outcomes of things. And it doesn't really fall under the license of gambling. They are betting on whether the president will sign an executive order. They are betting whether the Fed will raise the rates. They were betting what if Indiana beats
Purdue.
Ohio State.
Okay, Ohio.
How many millions of people are going to be on the highway? There's a whole different technology going in the gambling industry that they're going to have to switch up the way they think, because people going in there and doing slots or card games, there's a whole avenue they are forgetting about and losing money on, which Michigan City or our area needs to be in front of.
Right, no doubt about it. But the way we're going to get there is if the Economic Development Commission can get to the point of understanding what they have to do to bring in this kind of technology to get their workers here. That will be a big plus in terms of the downturn in, excuse me, I'm coming up with a cold. That will be a big plus in terms of the downturn from revenues from gambling. The other things we need to think about doing are things like golf, a PGA tournament. Now, we're not probably going to get a big-time men's PGA tournament, but at the Long Beach Country Club or the Potawatomi Country Club, depending on how good they are, and I would guess it's probably Long Beach, we certainly ought to be able to get a ladies' Professional Golf Association tournament. We've got to start low and bring these people in. The other things we've got to start doing is going after racetracks. Stock cars get bigger every year. And I remember when I was in the Navy, sometimes we'd go to a place called North Wilkes-Barre, North Carolina. It was a county racetrack, horse racetrack. Today, they've got a stadium that seats over 50,000 people for stock cars. We've got to start looking at these sports venues, and what does it take for us to get one?
We got to start looking at sports that are just coming on that will make the biggest risk. I've pitched different entities in this county and different cities. Why don't we start up a small, once a quarter, twice a year drone race? You can bring any drone you want in, and we'll set up the track, and you drone race around this. And I don't know whether it's in, inside the Market Mall or around the fairgrounds or over at Washington Park. And it would be the start of something new, because stock cars are worth billions and trillions of dollars. But that market, the growth is already there. We want a market that's going to grow exponentially and has technology in it. And that's where we would lead the way, and things like that.
Okay, the way I see it is House Bill 1 that was enacted, that takes effect the first of the year, is going to have a direct impact on the schools, on the communities, and so on. And there's going to be a loss of dollars in regards to the income tax.
Well, the property tax.
The property taxes
will go down.
And if you doubt what these guys are saying or what they're implying, we have to look at different sources of something to alleviate. Right now they got a wheel tax. Okay, well now what that wheel tax is going to tell me is, now I had maybe 5 vehicles, I'm going to get rid of a few of mine so I don't have to pay that wheel tax. Okay? Because I don't necessarily need that additional expense. The Redevelopment Commission is going to experience the same thing. Everyone in the state of Indiana is experiencing the same thing. So we have to look for alternative sources.
And wait, what's the wheel tax for? For cars that are licensed that drive on roads. And again, we keep doing the same thing and we don't look at the future. If anyone thinks we're all going to still be driving cars, each of us, in the next 7, 10, 15 years, foolish. It's not going to happen. We're going to have cars that drive themselves and go to Walmart or Meijer or probably a warehouse somewhere. I hopefully be here. Hopefully smart enough to do a warehouse here. Pick up your groceries and bring them to your house. Or go to some local kitchen that has all kinds of foods in there. Not just McDonald's or Burger King. They have every food in there. Your car will pick it up and it'll bring it to your house. It'll still be hot. You'll drive to your house. But we're putting things like wheel tax on for roads that aren't going to be 4 or 5 lanes that we need. We're building 4 or 5 lane roads for something that's not going to come. We're not going to see the growth in the amount of cars because people have to pay a wheel tax. We'll get rid of them. People that don't need a car will not have one. But we've spent all this money building up our roads. That's 1960s and 1970s thinking. It's not 2040 thinking. Not at all.
Well, one codicil to that. We're building up roads for trucks to get things from place to place, not necessarily for cars.
Well, okay, if you do, here's the technology that if you look into it, go research. Roads, we have roads now. So say we have say it's Franklin Street. We have 4 lanes and a turn lane. If you have robotic cars, they don't need the space. If you have 5 lanes, technically you can get 7 lanes of cars in there and trucks because they don't need a foot or 2. They need a couple inches. And people complain, I saw a big thing on Waymo and these cars that drive into situations they're not for. And the one thing my kid says was, you know, these Waymo cars, these robotic cars, and they drive and do silly things. And they go drive in places they're not supposed to. But you know what? They're not getting in wrecks. They stop and they look around and they process the situation and then they find a way and they go through. They don't just run into something. And if you look at these articles about these robotic cars, I'm not a fan. I don't know if I could get in one. Someday I'll probably have to. But they're very smart. They don't get into wrecks. And they don't need a foot or 2 or 5 feet separation. They can run within inches of each other, just like a train does. They know where their lanes are, and they do not deviate at all. They do not get distracted by their car, by their phone, or their stereo, or the food they're eating. That robot is doing one thing, and it will continue to do that. And if it can't, it will stop. So that's coming, and that's why I say this thinking, and we're doing comprehensive plans in St. Joe County, LaPorte, Michigan City, LaPorte City, and it's sad. I think we're giving the same solutions for things that we consider in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, maybe even 2000, but not 2040. We're going to talk about drones. We're going to talk about deliveries, something we have no idea what's coming.
I will say this. 25 years ago, I said, Michigan City well developed, and it is. We've got fantastic developments going on, and we're going to get even better ones. The point being, because of our location, and because of a number of other things, it'll be here.
Oh, yeah.
What we have to do is bring our education system up in the public schools to meet the demand for the technology that they're going to need. How we do that, better salaries, got to be one way.
Spend money.
Well,
Spend money.
yeah.
Sorry.
I believe in performance. You spend money for performance.
You can't get performance if you don't spend the money.
I think you establish the goal. Here's what it is. And the goal has to be that when we graduate out of Michigan City High School, they will have to perform in reading and math, reading English and math.
And you have to give them the money when they hit those performance targets.
But if they don't meet that goal, then they're going to have to do something else.
Yeah. I mean, we saw that when we did the local income tax, the firefighters and police, we did income tax, because we needed to pay our police and firefighter to keep the best police and firefighters. We saw that with the lifeguards. We weren't getting lifeguards. Guess what? We upped their rate. They left the other community. They came here. And that's what education does.
And the other thing we can look at is things like museums. People like to go into museums. They like to go into art galleries and things like this. And we've got them in Michigan City. We should promote those more. Now, that's just a one-day excursion. People coming in, but they're probably going to eat lunch here. Maybe after it's over, if they drive themselves in, they'll stop in a nice restaurant and have something to eat. But we've got to start indicating on various situations in the state that are promoting areas. Michigan City is a place to go for an art museum. It's the place to go for historical museums, such as the old lighthouse and the Barker Mansion. And so this gives me a chance to mention one other thing. The Barker Foundation is building the foundation for a rail car that was built in 1904 at Haskell and Barker. My grandfather came to this country in 1886, my grandfather on my mother's side. In 1886, he was recruited in New York by Haskell and Barker, and he worked there from the time he got here in 1886 until he passed away in 1919. He probably worked on that rail car. So I'm looking at it to be able to say, yeah, when I'm thinking about it, yeah, my grandfather probably worked on that
That's
car.
7th and Wabash.
Yes.
That's what they're building. It's thank you to the Barker family. They're really coming on strong. They're really putting some money into Michigan City. Good people. And again, the investment, going back to today, the investment on education, the return is exponentially greater than any investment you think there's going to be in industry, in housing, because those, in my opinion, those all follow the investment on education.
But we have to get the kids up to the ability to handle the learning in terms of that technology.
Yes.
If they can't do math and they can't read, they're never going to be able to learn it. You've got to get them up to that point, and that's why I think we got to look at what Mississippi did in terms of bringing their students up. It looks like they spent 10, 15 years doing it. They started with the 3rd grade, but they're there now. Probably not a good way to word that, but the state has done some fantastic things, and their standing has gone way up. In fact, they were 50th in the nation 20 years ago. One educational system has them at something like 16th in the nation. So they've gone from 50th in the nation in terms of their education system to 16th in the nation.
And I think South Bend Schools, I saw an article that they are using that as an example. And they are bringing phonics into their school again. And they are bringing math and English in their school. And if we're not doing it, we're already behind the 8 ball.
Yeah.
We need to get and move forward as fast as they can. And I keep going back. You have to pay for it. You have to bring the money and get the money and pay for it. The chances of getting any of this and not bringing the money are darn near 0. The chances of getting all this if you bring money, far better than 0, because good people who can get paid other communities will go to the other communities. They will leave our community. And yes, we have to drive
And we also have to bring back industrial arts. Electronics, blueprint reading.
That's the future.
That's the future. Again, if you don't know how to lay a sound foundation for a building that might be, what, 20 foot tall?
Or if you don't know how to look at the soil underneath the footing, it might not work either.
You mean you're saying there might be some water in certain areas of town?
There's a whole
such as Marquette Mall?
Yeah, there's a whole science at looking at the soil underneath
hydrology.
The and Marquette Mall is sitting on a wet area, and they built the right footings to handle the mall. And you don't just dig a hole and start pouring concrete in there. It takes science behind it to look at the soil and what's going to happen.
And Bob was talking about the freight car with his grandfather. I have the same feeling with my dad because he helped build the Chapel of the Chimes at Valparaiso University. He was one of the finished carpenters on the interior work. And so every time I go there, I get the same personal feeling. And I tell my kids, hey, he said, Grandpa, they don't know Grandpa. My dad passed away rather young. But at least he was there, and he left the symbol of his efforts.
Literally,
that we have to pass on to future generations. So I definitely relate to what you're saying.
And we have the redevelopment commission. This article is pretty neat out in Indiana Business Journal. And if they don't know, if anyone doesn't know in the state of Indiana, that the revenue from casinos is drying up, and we have potentially frittered away 20 years of funds, and that was something I wrote down here. If it's been 60 years, and I agree, Michigan City's come a long way in 60 years. But what kind of return have we got on that 60 years of investment and over and over and over, and really the same thing? We should have been far further ahead than we are now. And if we are going to continue the rate of return for 60 years, it's easy to calculate. I'm not a fan of history, but boy, history sure teaches you. You can even predict the future with history. And financial history is even easier.
Yeah.
You can look at the rate of return for the amount of money we put in for 60 years and find out we're going to be another 60. Probably not more than we were in the first 60. We haven't made any leaps into increasing the rate of return.
I want to say something about my involvement. I was a Third Ward City Councilman. And when this issue of the enterprise zone came up, I amended the ordinance to include up to Willard Ave over to 11th Street. I included that area in economic development. And if you go there today, you will see the mindset of this community. You will see the mindset of this community, because there is absolutely no economic development.
There's less.
There's no economic development in the area that I amended to include for economic development.
You don't consider storage space at the old Portishead building as economic development?
I'll make a prediction, because when I talked to some friends about this casino thing coming on, one of the first reactions I got from somebody, which was brilliant, was, well, if we're gonna lobby for a land-based casino in Michigan City, maybe we lobby for the state to pay to wipe out the prison, and we put it over there. A huge land-based casino ready to go. The West Side finally gets what it's deserved. But it's going to have to be unique, and that's the opportunity to make something unique and something that draws people in than just another building with a bunch of slot machines and card games. It's going to have to be, and I don't care, send the elected officials to Vegas and walk them around and let them see what unique looks like.
Well, I'd rather see that space go for a rustic hotel for the Indiana Dunes.
Oh, I do, but
yeah,
if you're going to lobby for something, lobby big.
yeah.
I'm just going to say that I believe in success being, utilizing a successful venture. That's the intelligent use of one's time. And when you continue to pursue ideas that were established in the past,
And expect a different result?
expect a different result, that is contrary to success lies in the intelligent use of your time. And for going on 50 or 60 years, the same mindset in this community has been that concept. Well, if it didn't work this way, we're going to move it around a little bit to see if it works again, or move it around. I have to applaud the Redevelopment Commission for what they're doing with SOLA. We'll find out shortly whether SOLA will be able to... Huh?
Yeah, this is it, right? This is December 5th.
It's
so
December 5th.
I think it'll be pushed, but go ahead.
I tend to again, I watched the rebroadcast of a 2024 meeting with the Redevelopment Commission, and what they were saying, again, it makes more sense now to me looking at it today than it did back then. It may work, but there's still the issue of financing. Hey, if the prime rate goes down a little bit, that will open up more available money for credit, which will maybe help them establish a financial something or other to get funds to get this thing off the ground.
But I also want to say this, in terms of us not being up to date technology-wise. There's one place they're really wrong about, and that's this hospital. This hospital, Dave, is up to date. It couldn't be better. It was fantastic. I think somebody said $53 million to do that. But they have the latest technology in there. When you go in, they can pretty much take care of you and have you out.
And how do they do that?
24 hours.
Because the entity that runs a hospital has a tax advantage over every other private entity.
Well, okay, that's true.
So they can spend, and I'm glad they do.
But one of my grandsons had to have an appendectomy about 2 weeks ago.
Ooh.
One night,
That's a
and he
hard-
was out.
Oh, 4 minutes. We gotta be quick.
Well, one night and he was out. When Dave and I were growing up, if you had an appendectomy, you'd have been there for a week at
Yeah,
least.
and it wouldn't be pretty. So I got a math question for you real quick. We only have a few minutes. What's 50,000 times 30?
Well, off the top, I'd say.
1.5 million?
Sounds like it, yeah.
No, I'd have said about 150 million.
115 million?
Yeah.
That's 4 zeros, it's 5 zeros. 15 and 5 zeros. That's 1.5 million?
Wait a minute. What's your question?
50,000 times 30. So the project that we are talking about, real quick, behind the 30 acres, if they paid $155,000 for it, and I know acreage in this area is going for $50,000 an acre, they had a potential deal of about 1.3 million, and we're giving them 2 million when they had a sweetheart deal, which is good for them at 1.3 million extra. Math don't add up. Anyways, there you go.
Yeah, let us a million.
Merry Christmas and
I still,
good time for
I
lights.
still do math the old way. I don't use an abacus. I just do it.
that's my last.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Enjoy Michigan City. Enjoy the shopping. It's available, and enjoy the food. We've got all kinds of it in the various restaurants. Take advantage of it. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
I'm just saying that the Redevelopment Commission has to take a new attitude because its priorities are not conducive with the employment rate in this community. It sits at 46% people who live at or below the poverty level. They have to wake up and again, they have to look at their financial books and see what's going on, because with what I read and with the reports that I get through the computer, something isn't right.
But those people that are living at the poverty level have to also take advantage of the school systems that we have available.
That is correct as well.
They have to make sure their kids are in school and not skipping school.
And if we make
There's a responsibility for them
That's
also.
right. And if we make a conducive environment, a pleasurable environment, pleasurable learning experience for these kids, they can't help but get better. I want to thank everybody for watching. Your input as to improvements or criticism of this program is greatly appreciated. Please contact Show's Tribe co-producer Bob Pollock, Dave Bila, or Tony Hendricks with your comments. You can email Bob at skrpollock@gmail.com, Dave at djbila1@hotmail.com, or Tony at emailhem@yahoo.com. Or you may direct your ideas for any future shows to our one and only staff writer, Sarah Bellum. Showing of our program will be Saturday morning at 10 a.m., Monday and Thursday evening at 7 p.m., and numerous times throughout the week when there's some dead time to fill and you're looking at us. You may also enjoy watching our program, Navigate News and Views. 99 Navigate News and Views on YouTube. I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. I don't know, are we going to broadcast next week?
I don't know.
I don't know. Well, we'll figure it out shortly. Again, our viewing audience, I hope everybody contacts one of their Michigan City Council member friends or a friend of a council member and consider me as a appointment to the Redevelopment Commission, because it's strictly, in my opinion, it strictly needs to take a new attitude. I want to thank everybody for watching. Merry Christmas, and make it a good day.